welcome to Pluribus Fireside Chats. Not as good as FDR's, but hey, it's something. Now, this is another one of those, for ending the year episodes. And this one is about a topic that is starting to get way more attention now that people are starting to realize, 2020 is coming to a close. So, before we get into any of that, let's get right into the news. The first news story is going to be from a former Lori Lightfoot. Apparently, Chicago has dismissed many red light tickets under Lori Lightfoot. You see, in Chicago, at their stoplights, they have, cameras that take pictures of the cars, and then when the cars, move, like when they break the red light, they get a ticket. Like, they take a photo of the car, they send it to whoever owns the car, and they get a ticket. Well, it turns out, Lori Lightfoot had, her security detail has received 13 tickets from speeding and red light violations, and of them, 10 have been dismissed. Meaning, they ain't paying that, which is... Do you know how bad this is? Of course you might say, well, it's a dick move, but how bad is it really? You want to know how bad it is? Rahm Emanuel didn't even let his security detail just waive the tickets. Granted, Rahm Emanuel paid the tickets out of his own pocket. He still paid them. The tickets didn't go, completely they just don't get to pay. But for Lori, they literally just don't pay the tickets. No, they don't at all. Lori sucks. But then again, she's a pig, remember? That should have been the first clue. Anyways, now let's move on to the next story. This story is good news, actually. We're going to start off with some good news. FCC Chairman Ajit Pai to step down January 20th. Oh boy. Anyone remember Ajit Pai? He was the appointed chairman of the FCC during 2017, and he was the guy who tried to repeal net neutrality, and to an effect actually did. Good riddance. I have nothing nice to say about him. I just wanted to mention it before, we get into some pretty not so good news. Okay. Here's the not-so-good news. Neera Tanden will be appointed to the Joe Biden administration. Oh, boy. I've made it no secret that I do not like Neera Tanden, but there are no buts. She's just a terrible choice. And the biggest reason why many people have been pointing out policy-wise that she's a terrible choice is that she wanted to cut Social Security. But again, that makes her the perfect fit for a Joe Biden administration. She literally quoted herself as saying, "We need to put both entitlements on the table as well as taxes." But anything that, let's just point to the record of, not directly policy-wise. Let's just give a, something that is policy adjacent. She's always the, establishment pick. She claimed to be, the chair of, the Center of American Progress. But she's not at all. And this is the funny thing. Apparently, Joe Biden, when he appointed her, he was literally look, see, progressives, I appointed one of you. Are we good? And it's but no, you didn't appoint one of us. You appointed one of you. Neera is the literal embodiment of the establishment, so it makes perfect sense that she's picked to be part of the, perfect establishment, politician's cabinet. It makes obvious sense. And another problem is, a lot of people are, just being stupid and just saying, no, Neera Tanden's a good choice because, Joe Biden. Cenk Uygur, he said, Neera Tanden She's a perfect choice for this position. And this is the one that really kicked me. Larry Lessig, literally, I thought it was ironic at first and I retweeted it and liked it. But then he revealed, no, this wasn't ironic. What are you talking about? I fully do believe that she is a good choice. And it's like, Larry. For those who don't know why I'm confused, during the 2016 election, near its hand an email between her and John Podesta was leaked to WikiLeaks. It was part of the massive email dump. And the emails that her and him were exchanging to each other were them literally saying like how Larry Lessig is a pompous law professor and they want to kick the shit out of him. And he's like, she's a good choice. What? What are you talking about, Larry? Larry, don't be stupid. Come on, man. Boy, it's pretty bad. But I guess we're going to have to move on to good news. At least we're going to have two good news. First, some American news. Maine becomes the first state to officially register the People's Party. The People's Party is officially on the move. It's officially registered as a state party in Maine today, where in order to get on the ballot for 2022 midterms, it had to register in December of this year. Organizers filed for the Monday, first day of the filing window. The first state party registration comes less than a month after the general election, as the People's Party pushed off a progressive, populist alternative to the corrupt-funded Democratic and Republican parties in 2022-2024. Good. It is good that the People's Party is actually starting to, get their shit off the ground. They're actually serious this time. Things are getting ready. It's time for goodness. It's time to move on with the life and blah blah blah. Anyways, let's move on to the next story. This is another good story. Congress voted to decriminalize marijuana. What I like is that it happened. What I don't like is the fact that for some reason even the Democratic caucus wasn't even that unified. People like Sherry Bustos and Colin Peterson and Dan Lipinski, they voted against legalizing marijuana. But it's weird. Some of the Blue Dogs were strangely on board. Some of the other Blue Dogs weren't. Like you see Colin Peterson and Dan Lipinski, they voted against legalizing marijuana. But other ones like Joe Cunningham did vote to legalize marijuana. You see, I guess it's weird. I guess it's because some of the newer ones are like, hey, we're gonna do something good before we get kicked out, so, alright. It's probably not gonna get to the Senate, because I think I remember reading something where it was like the Senate is going to delay it, but I mean, we'll see. Even if it does get to the Senate, I don't know if they're gonna vote on it, or even if they do vote on it, it's not gonna be favorable, but this is a good indication that, things are going in a good enough direction. Anyways, the next story comes from India. A country that nobody really thinks about political-wise, except for maybe Tulsi, haha. But this story gets very interesting. 250 million people are participating in a countrywide strike in India. Despite police repression and the COVID-19 pandemic, workers and farmers and their allies across India participated in the pan-Indian strike against the recent neoliberal reforms pushed through the Narendra, whatever, Modi's government, pretty much. No one ever says his first name. We just say his last name. No one cares. Okay, so, 250 million people, like your workers, farmers, allies, students, feminists, they organized, the adoption. They organized a protest on the day that India's constitution was ratified, to combat Modi's anti-workers' rights and farmer rights things. Now, some Tulstans have said stupid things to me, and I would like to use this to 100% reflect on this. I've been told by Tulstans that somehow Modi is a good leader, and that Modi has espoused center-left economics. What? It's just like, what? No. Do you know how many... The BJP is right-wing. I don't know what crazy world you Tolstans live in, where somehow Modi is part of the left or something, but he's not. His party is right-wing populist. It espouses neoliberal economics. What are you talking about? The only thing left about Modi's party is that he left thinking about caring about India. Haha, get it? But seriously, this is a good thing, and it shows not only are the Tolstans wrong, but also, these kinds of worker strikes things, they're worldwide. It happens in France, it happens in India, it'll happen anywhere. I will say this, they have to use, all of their power that they can. You see, the thing about these guys is that they allied with, the Indian Communist Party. I don't know if they allied with the Indian National Congress, which is the biggest left-wing party in India, I believe. Try to exert the pressure that they can. That's always been my thing. Yes, we can, do all this stuff as, activists and blah, blah, blah. But we also have to exert political pressure in the electoral realm. And yes, we're going to lose sometimes, but we're also going to win sometimes. You got to take it into consideration. And that leads directly into my main topic of the video. The left's plans for 2021. Now here's the thing. You might say, 2021? Who cares about 2021? Well, you should care about 2021 because there are elections that happen in 2021. As many people don't realize, 2022 isn't exactly the next step. 2021 will be the next step. Now you might say, well, do their races really count? Who cares about their races? Don't they usually just elect mayors? Well, yes, that is true. Most of the elections that are up are mayoral races. Miami, Florida, Jackson, Mississippi, Fort Worth, Texas, Detroit, Michigan, Cleveland, Ohio, Cincinnati, Ohio, Atlanta, Georgia, and Anchorage, Alaska, Boston, Massachusetts, Charlotte, North Carolina. These are races that, while yes, they might not be exactly big, they could still have potentials of being worth something. There's St. Louis, Missouri. What's in the St. Louis area? What gave us Cory Bush? There are also some higher stakes races. The governor's races of New Jersey and Virginia are also going to be up for play. But that's not all. While those ones are supposed to be the bigger name races, turns out people have been speculating that there will be more races that could be potentially happening. All special elections for the United States House of Representatives. One is already confirmed, Louisiana District 2, Cedric Richmond seat. But there are also potential plans for more special elections, because as you've noticed, there are quite a few individuals who have been speculated to fill Biden's cabinet, and quite a few of them have interest in special elections. Let's say for example, Andy Levin. Andy Levin has been speculated to be Biden's Secretary of Labor. So many people have been saying, hey, why don't we replace him why don't we try and fill his seat with someone better? Levin's a pretty good congressman, but he's also a Warren Democrat, so he's a left. It's weird. Warren Democrats are really weird. On one end, they're the obvious frauds, but then on the other end, they're ones that's they're good, but they're also not as good as others, but they're also not bad as others, but they're also it's really weird. I don't get it. We'll put him in a crowd called the left Warren Democrats. which is where I'd put the Warren Democrats that I actually kind of like. You know, like Jamie Raskin and Rahul Grijalva and Ayanna Presley. But then on the other end, you got like, James McGovern. But then on the other end, you have like Deb Haaland and Katie Porter and what's her name? Catherine Clark. You know, the obvious frauds, the ones who are like stink. Anyways, no, wait, that's not her. It's Lori Trahan. That's who I'm thinking of. Catherine Clark may have endorsed her too, but Lori Trahan's the one I'm thinking of, like, being the front. Anyways, that's besides the point. Another potential speculation is, of course, one I mentioned previously, you know, Nina Turner running for the seat of the, what's her name? Marcia Fudge. Nina Turner running for Marcia Fudge's seat. Yeah, that's one that could happen. But then there's also the potential of a California California House seat that could open up in the future, depending on who is picked to be the successor to Kamala Harris. You know, some people are saying maybe it's Karen Bass or Barbara Lee. Maybe in a blue moon, it's Ro Khanna. I guarantee you it's not Ro Khanna. But, you know, it's good to dream. It's good to fantasize. But the idea is, like, of course, you know, there's going to be a couple of House seats that are going to be, we're going to have to focus on. And this is the biggest thing. We need to focus on them. Like, we all need to focus on these seats when they come. Like, when one of these seats opens up, we need to find someone to run in that area. Like, I mean, and here's the thing. We need to make sure we rally behind one. And there is already sort of starting to be a problem with some of these areas. We'll get to them when we get to them. Of course, you know, Louisiana District 2, we kind of have the issue of, I've checked the candidates, but I don't know if, like, any of them are, like, that good. The only one I've checked is, the only one I'm gonna check, like, all three of the ones that I've already declared soon, but for all we know, they're all just pretty bad, or average Democrats at the very least. Like, I'm not gonna say that they're, like, corporate Democrats, maybe the one who's, you know, I'll find out who the more establishment pick is soon enough, but we gotta find someone to run in that seat. When Marcia Fudge announces that when she gets appointed to the Agriculture Committee, Agriculture Labor thing, we better get Nina Turner to run for that, like, seat. And then we gotta coalesce around the candidates that are like-minded, because another thing that will happen is that there will be frauds upon us, especially considering, like, the Yang Gang. Yang Gang is going to 100% either mooch off of our candidates, or they're going to run against them. That happens a million times. Like, that always happens. The Yang Gang, they'll always gravitate towards the candidates that we like, and then they'll also somehow pick candidates that we don't like. It's a weird thing about the Yang Gang. They're so, like, they are trying to be this new Big Tent movement, but their tent is so big that it's like, what's going on at this point? Like, seriously, what is going on at this point? On one end, you get someone like a David Kim, who espouses all this good stuff. Who's like, yeah, I worked with Kenneth Mejia's campaign. You know, I've genuinely been on the side of, like, against Jimmy Gomez for a long time, and I've worked with the California Green Party. I've worked across the aisle with a bunch of other of my colleagues, and I think this would be a good chance. And then, on the other end, you have people like Noel Famera, who literally espouse stupid conspiracy theories about how Biden was endorsed by the Chinese Communist Party. Yang Gang is this sort of lost puppy that they don't know what to do with. On one end, they'll run one direction, the other end, they'll run another direction. I don't know. And that's what's going to happen when, you know, we actually start running candidates again. They've done it with this cycle, too. You know, they would endorse, like, Ro Khanna, and they would endorse, like, a couple other folks, like Jen Perlman. I don't know why I was stuttering for a moment there. They'll endorse her. They'll jump on the trends that we already have, but then on some other ones they'll just make some weird choices, like, oh, we don't Like Charles Booker, who endorses UBI, not for me. We need to vote for Mike Bonnier. Lindsey Boyle, not for me. Beth Doglio, not for me. Because the Yang Gang is dumb, and they don't understand things. Like, again, I'm going on a little bit of a weird rant here, but the Yang Gang is one of those groups of people, like the Jesse stands and the Tull stands. They will tell me. They will go to me and then tell me, like, you need to stop, putting people on a pedestal and, like, trying to insinuate, like, I'm such a big fan of Bernie that I literally only think of Bernie every day. Bernie. It's Bernie. It's gotta be Bernie. Like, when they're sitting there, their profile picture is of their candidate. Their profile name is like something like Tulsi Stan 308. Yang Nerds for Yang. I don't know why I had to call him out specifically, but that was an accident. Whoops. Like people for Jesse, draft Jesse hashtag, and like in their bios it'll be like hashtag Tulsi or Yang or Jesse 2020. It's like, what? It's projection. They're just projecting on me. Like, unlike Chad Wilson, like I mean, I know I don't want to call him out again, but like, it's 2020. I gotta call out everybody while I can. Chad Wilson, he's like, oh, you're a Howie Hawkins like shill. You're a Howie Hawkins fanboy. This guy shills for Howie Hawkins every day. It's like, no, I don't. You just so happen to go to my profile when I talk about Howie Hawkins or when I talk about you, or when I specifically tag you because I want to fuck with you, dude. I genuinely admit that sometimes I'll literally just be like, man, I'm bored. Then I'll go to Chad Wilson's account and be like, he's still following me. And then I'll tweet at him and say, like, Jesse didn't run. and then just get messages like, come on, man. It's easy to screw with him because he's a screw loose or something. He'll literally snap in a second. This is on the record. Like, this is 100% on the record. Other people have said this stuff about him before. Like, he'll be on the same side as you, and he'll scream at you. In my first interaction with Chad Wilson, Chad literally, like, started swearing at me and be like, so you're accepting of the Howie Hawkins shill, stupid. It's like, dude, calm down. I made a tweet defending you. What are you talking about? Senator Curry, another Green Party presidential candidate, she was at an event with Chad, and she literally just flat out mentioned Chad, for some reason, I don't know, cussed her out. And it's like, what happened? I've talked with Senator a couple of times. I haven't talked to her in a bit. I should, probably. But I'm like a nervous wreck, and I don't know how to talk to people. But, like, she is, like, the nicest person. I don't see how anybody could, like, swear at her. And then there's Kent Messplay. Kent Messplay, again, he was on his side for a million years. He was signing all of his letters. He was signing all this stuff. But then Chad Wilson made another letter and then preemptively signed Kent Messplay onto the letter without calling him first. Kent then had to call Chad and tell him to remove his name from this particular letter because he didn't like it. So then Chad deleted it, then reposted it, but instead of deleting Kent Mesplay's name, he puts in parentheses, not Kent Messplay, that stupid piece of shit or something. It's like, what? Man, calm down. And it's weird too, because like he also code switches a lot. Like I saw it on like Now Welcome Show. Like he'll be nice and he'll be like calm, but then on other days he'll scream and he'll be mean. Like there was one interaction where like that previously aforementioned video clip, like sending him saying like, you know, Chad called him out. Chad called her out. She literally like Chad. He was literally just like, he sounded like a completely different person. I'm going on this huge tangent for no reason, but I mean, I just had to say it. I don't know why. I guess this is why I choose to make a podcast in the first place, so I can go on these weird tangents and tell stories about this random stuff that I interact with. and then just see how things go. But back to the topic at hand, we are talking about how the progressives need to do well in 2021. And how we need to do it is we need to rally behind the candidates, rally support, and just generally get people to run. And we're even getting people who are running that we don't even really need them to run. For example, in the Cleveland mayoral race, apparently Dennis Kucinich has filed paperwork to run in that seat. And it's okay, we could have asked for someone else, but you could do for now. I mean, technically you are kind of a has-been, Dennis. But I mean, you didn't get second in that gubernatorial run, I'll give you that. So maybe he isn't a complete has-been. Though, I mean, to be fair, maybe some people might get, not thrilled by the fact that he endorsed Tulsi, and that might cause a whole spiel and his whole thing. But I mean, I'll defend Dennis. I like Dennis. Dennis cool. Dennis Kucinich? More like Dennis Coolcinich. Haha. Yeah. It's terrible. Oh boy. I think this podcast is disjointed because I'm tired. I'm literally recording this at 1 a.m. I should sleep, but I will not. Because this is a message that needs to get heard. But yeah, we need to get those kinds of folks to rally behind. And we need to get those, I mean, my website, I try to make my website that kind of thing. Like a progressive voter guide. We're gonna be talking about a bunch of candidates. I might, if I get the chance, I might be doing more interviews with some of these candidates so we can better sniff them out. Just in case. I don't typically do interviews that much because the interviews usually clash with the regularly scheduled episodes because I like to have a tight schedule on my videos. And, a lot of people flake on me, but, we just gotta work with what we can. I already have, I even have some of the names listed of people that I might want to endorse. I'm not going to say all of them, and I'm not even going to say most of them, but I'm leaving out some names that, I'm looking at someone in the Boston mayoral race, someone in the Virginia gubernatorial race, someone in the Atlanta, Georgia mayoral race, and I'm looking at someone in, the NYC mayoral race. We just got to make sure, especially considering some of the races might be tougher to choose than others. Now, for example, that aforementioned NYC mayoral race. You see, NYC mayoral race is going to be a whole lot like the last race of the Chicago mayoral race, where we're going to have a ton of candidates that are going to try to oh, I'm the most progressive. No, I'm the most progressive. No, I'm the most progressive. We're going to get a bunch of those people that are like that. And even then, the one who actually is the most progressive probably will not get far in the race. I mean, things could change, but I mean, I'm just saying, a lot of the people who are running are were cabinet members to Bill de Blasio. Meanwhile, the one who is sort of considered the ideal progressive choice of the race was an activist, I believe. I don't know. I don't remember. But that should give you an indication on who I'm looking at. But yeah, we need to show this kind of left unity. Especially, I'm just going to say it. The Squad and Bernie should probably start endorsing a lot more of these down the ballot races. We just need to make sure, just in case, sniff these guys out. Make sure they're legit. Call these people up. Make people know who they are. Especially considering, 2021 was still probably going to have COVID around. So it might be a bit more difficult to get the word out. Which was a factor in the loss of many of these, Democratic blue dogs. They didn't really have any actual campaign outreach online during a pandemic. There's one video that literally perfectly exemplifies it. Max Rose was out on the streets doing things and talking to people, and it's you're in the middle of a pandemic, man. Campaign online where people can see you but also will not die. This is this should be 101. Maybe, of course, yes. Oh, yeah. of course, there is. Of course, you can work out and do stuff on like the outside, but I mean, you need to take all these extra precautions. Blah blah blah. You know, we'll be doing it. The one last thing that technically counts, but of course it technically counts, but also technically doesn't count. Those two Georgia Senate seats. They will be voted on in 2021, but a bunch of the campaigning is mostly going to be handled this year rather than in 2021, because it's early 2021 when it's going to happen. So, a reminder to anybody who's out in Georgia who's watching this, go vote for Raphael Warnock and Ossoff as well, I guess. You know, I'm not endorsing Ossoff, but, you know, in this race, you kind of have two choices at this point, and let's be honest, if you're voting for Warnock, you're voting for Ossoff. That's just a given. I'm literally going to give this prediction now. Ossoff winning by himself is the least likely scenario. The most likely scenario is that Warnock wins and Ossoff doesn't, but, you know, another likely scenario is, of course, Warnock and Ossoff winning. Then the last one would be Perdue, Loeffler winning, and then right under that would be like Loeffler, Ossoff. Like Ossoff winning by himself, no. The most likely scenario is going to happen is Warnock wins by himself, but if he's lucky, Warnock will carry Ossoff to the finish line. Warnock just has more to offer, sorry. Anyways, that's pretty much all I got to say. 2021 is going to be an interesting year for progressives, so let's get a move on. Thanks for watching this video. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and click that bell to be notified when the future video line comes out. And if you're interested in more content from me, you can go to my website, follow me on Twitter, join my Discord, or check out my articles on the Independent Political Report.